Negri's going to come over here and join us. Joe! Oh, my goodness, Joe. Joe, good to see you.
Good to meet you in person.
And here we are.
We had a nice chat.
Yeah, we do. Joe,
where are
he
we?
told us to get the camera shot here. Joe, you opened up the program today. What was it like for you up there?
Oh, I just felt I'm really honored to be able to play the Star Spangled Banner, and this was such a special occasion. It was just great to be able to do it.
What do you think of the stamp?
I think it's phenomenal. He looks so good, and I'm glad he's with King Friday. And
Being a part of all this, when you look back at it now, in your life, where does it stand?
well, it probably stands as the most outstanding thing. You know, I'm a jazz guitar player, and that's very important to me. But next to that, this was just unbelievable, being a part of this show.
What was it about this show? 32 years, it's been off the air for 18, and here we are today in the studio, start of public television, still honoring it.
You know, it was all the things we talked about today, his special contact with children, the music. I was so happy to be such a part of the music and to be a part of, and that jazz got a chance to be heard and presented.
How much did Fred like jazz?
Very much, you know.
It's a unique sound. We heard it today. What do you call it? Is it just plain jazz music that you played on the show?
I think what I did with Johnny was what you would call jazz. But, you know, we're from a school that we drew from the American Songbook, Jerome Kern, George Gershwin, and that's where Fred came from. You know, that was that school. And from that, you know, you just improvise on those beautiful harmonies, and that's what we did with Fred's music.
Johnny Costa, we heard a lot about him today. What was he like to work with?
He was, you know, he was really a fun guy, kind of wacky, but really talented. You know, he and I were very close. We had immigrant Italian parents. His were Sicilian, mine were Calabrese, but we were very close. Food and everything, and music.
On this series, you also became an actor, Handyman Negri. What was that like?
Well, I always told everybody, I'm not an actor. I just kind of played myself. I remember hearing Spencer Tracy say once, I just play myself. Well, that's kind of what I tried to do.
What would Fred think of all this today?
I think Fred would be really thrilled and very happy to see something like this take place. And that stamp, I think, would just blow his mind.
Joe Negri, a legend. Thank you, Joe. Such a pleasure to meet you in person.
Really great to talk to you in person.
Absolutely. Stay well, Joe. Joe Negri, the legendary Joe Negri, opened up the program today. Man, are we having fun here. Mr. Rogers Studio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, WQED television. And this is one of those areas. We're back in the studio. I think we're live, so this is what you call a stretch. So we are just going to stretch it out here until the next person comes along, because that is what you do. And we hope somebody will come along very soon. Did you need to get through? Oh, no problem. I'm going to move to the side here. We have a group of children who were here today. See you, kids. Have a good day. Hope you enjoyed everything. I'm good. How are you? Good. Yeah, a lot of school children here today, and that was really something that made a very great impact. Hi, guys. Hi. Say hello to Ohio. There we go. Way back in Ohio. These are the kids. What school was this? Sacred Heart. The kids from Sacred Heart Elementary School. A lot of fun here at the Fred Rogers Studio. And again, bye-bye, guys. We've talked to Joe Negri. Hopefully we'll get David Newell over here. I do see him over there. Mrs. Joanne Rogers, I believe, is still up on the stage taking pictures. Walt Sang, who we spent a lot of time with yesterday, and he's over there as well. So, hey, it's a big day here. It's a big day. It's a lot of fun. Postmaster General Megan Brennan hopefully is going to be joining us. I've heard Megan Brennan will be around. And I hope I'm in the camera shot. It's hard to tell because the monitor is pointed away, but this is radio, so it's okay. You can hear me back in the studio, and that is the important thing. Now, David is being interviewed by a local television station. And remember, I cannot hear you guys back in the studio, so I hope we're coming through loud and clear, and I hope everything sounds great, and I hope we're showing up in the monitor, but I really don't know, to tell you the truth, at this particular point. We should have put an X on the floor. I'm going to move these chairs out of the way and create a little more area here for myself. There. We in the shot? We in the shot? See, you're getting it all. See, this is what radio is all about. You're getting it warts and all today. Chair moving and all. Now, back in Ohio, what I'm going to try to do is explain what is going on here today. 200 people, I believe, was the capacity of the room here at WQED. We had 200 people. There were people who weren't able to get in here, so that was too bad, but it showed the interest, the element, and the joy of what Mr. Rogers and the Stamp are all about. We were able to talk to Joe Negri. As I say, David Newell is over in the side there. And is our clock still moving? So we're still on it here back in Marion. Clock's still ticking along. And the recording on the monitor, both lights are on the monitor. Two lights, good. Terry's doing a great job here. I might talk to and I'm in the shot. Okay. This is what it's all about. Now, when we get this video back to Marion, you can see, if you just look right now, it is a mass of people. Walt Sang is, I believe he's now off the stage. Mr. Rogers' sons are here somewhere. Joanne Rogers, if you can see her, is in the very back there in the purple outfit. The football player, Franco Harris, is up on the left of the stage. A lot of people in that area. Man, Spears here at WQED Television Studio A, where public television started. How cool is that? As they tear it down around us here, they're closing up for the day. We're joined by our friend David Newell and our new friend from yesterday, Walt Sang, the man who took the picture that has become the Stamp, and of course, Mr. Rogers' favorite postman, David Newell.
The Stamp seen around the world.
Walt, we talked with you yesterday. You were on the set with us at the Heinz History Museum. Today's presentation, very emotional, I would think.
It was, yeah. It was appropriate for the person, and an honor to be here.
David, haven't had a chance to talk to you this go around. What was it like today?
Oh, it was wonderful. You know, I think Fred and Walt got along so well. He didn't like to have his picture taken.
I heard that.
But when Walt came in, Fred relaxed. I don't know what it was. Walt's got some sort of charisma that put Fred at ease, and that's really how we got all those pictures. And we're standing here now. Your listeners can't see where we're standing, but the picture was taken right about here.
This spot.
Right in this area, and Walt put up blue background, and we had Fred change sweaters and change puppets, and out of that shoot came the Stamp. And it went from this studio around and around and back in the studio. The irony to all of that, it's made a round robin, so to speak. So, and here's Walt and David standing in the spot where we took it. And now it'll be, you know, I was just saying that Walt took a picture that's probably going to be seen by more people. Millions, zillions of people around the world this will travel. So we're so proud of that right here from Pittsburgh.
Something needs to be said here. I do want to let everybody know, if you're back in Ohio, if you're in Michigan, wherever you're listening to, this morning, Friday morning, March 23rd, this stamp went on sale in every post office around the United States, so you can go to your local post office and get this stamp today. That's amazing, David.
In Hawaii and Alaska, too.
Exactly. We count them as well. Walt, something you took, a picture you took, a photo you took, now Hawaii, Alaska, they can walk in today and get your photo. What do you make of that?
Isn't technology wonderful?
Now, Walt, I want you to tell this story, because this is a great story about how you take photographs, because we all take photographs, and some of them coming out looking awful. Best way to take a photograph, you told us yesterday, animals versus people.
Oh, you were taking a photograph of the other announcer and I, and you were shooting down on us. And I said, you shoot down on dogs and cats and your pets. I said, you shoot eye level with people or up.
It's a good thing to know.
Yo, that's one more time so people can.
That's a good thing.
When you photograph a person, shoot them at eye level or from a low angle.
And dogs and cats, you shoot
from above.
Okay, that's a very handy tip. It can make a lot of pictures, improve a lot of vacation pictures.
Now, David, I met your son, and in all the time we've known each other, I did not know he was a postman, or maybe I've just omitted that fact.
No, he just became
Just became one.
about a year ago.
Now, you playing a postman for more than 30 years, what impact did this have?
I think it's more irony than anything that he studied to be a sports in sports to be a sports. What was the? Yes, yes, and he did it for a while, and he didn't like it, and then he came back to Pittsburgh and he just said, I'm going to go to the post office, and he applied, and he got a job, and here he is making deliveries, and I do it on TV in the neighborhood of make believe, and he does it in the real world.
David, you were here when the last show was taped, 2001, where we are, this studio. What was that day like?
Boy, we actually taped in another studio the very first day, but we taped in this studio 3 years later. But something, I'll tell you a story. The floor we're standing on right now, the first program we did, Fred wanted a horse. And I got a horse. They parked it right outside in the parking lot, the horse carrier, and he brought him in. Well, they had a brand new floor. Oh, imported, whatever you call linoleum on and the horse's hoof, the nail wasn't driven all the way in, and every place he walked, he put a hole in the new. And I guess their home insurance, whatever it is, covered for a new floor. But that's what I remember. But it worked out okay. They did get a new floor because it had.
So that was the memory of this day, huh?
That was the memory of that day. Yeah. Yes, because we were. Oh no. But it went away, and all the good memories remained.
Walt, your fondest memory of Fred Rogers over the more than 30 years that you knew him?
Everyone. My fondest, well, the one that brought a tear to my eye was when we were doing a photo shoot, and I know he didn't like to have his picture taken, but I needed him to glow, I needed to get his spirit out. And he said, Walt, you're the only photographer that I ever give myself to. And man, I couldn't shoot. My eyes teared up when he said that. And I thought, why is that? I said, that's the nicest thing that I've ever, the best compliment I've ever had as a photographer.
David, your fondest memory?
Oh boy, of everything, right? Every day was a fun memory, but I think the Margaret Hamilton visit was one of my fondest memories. You don't think you were here at that point? No, but Margaret Hamilton came in to help us explain to children about
ski. In this studio?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wicked Witch of the West from Wizard of Oz. That was the actress's name. And she came in to help us interpret scary things. And she said, I'm an actress. And she put on the costume, and similar to the one in the movie. And she said, I'm an actress. That's my job. And it really helped. Letters came in after and say how much it helped children and families. But after that, she became a friend. She said, call me Aunt Maggie. And she would call us every Sunday night at our house. And then when our second son was born, she flew in from New York City to see him and came to our house and sat with him on our sofa. And it was the Wicked Witch holding our 10-day-old son. And the phone rang, and one of our neighbors called and said, did I just see the Wicked Witch of the West go into your kitchen? and yes, but that was a fond memory. But every day with Fred was fun. And the days that Walt came, we would do special shoots. We wouldn't tape that day because Fred would be tired. He didn't want to take his picture when he was tired. But when Walt came, we would set up a special seamless paper, they call it in the biz, right? And we would go right through all of the areas we thought Fred should have his picture taken. And he was relaxed. He knew he didn't have any other pressure other than have his picture taken, and Walt put him at ease, which I think is a challenge for a lot of photographers to put their subject at ease. And Walt did it, and we got that grand picture. Look, there it is.
It's right here on. You guys have great lapel pins.
Yes.
Stamp.
Yeah, And I think they're available through the post office. You can get a lapel pin. They were given out here, but I think they ran out of them. It was sold out here today.
Well, I want to, but we had somebody on, Bill Gicker from the post office, who is in creative development, was on with us on Wednesday, and said that this is the most popular stamp so far this year, and that it was going to be capacity crowd today, which we all know it was.
You know, tomorrow, Saturday, I'm going to Penn State. They're doing it in Penn State at Bellefonte, Pennsylvania. And it's going to be similar, but it's more with a Stamp Collectors Association. They're going to do it with them. So I'll be in my McFeely outfit tomorrow.
Was there any thought to wearing that today?
There was, but I think given all of the chaos here today, the busyness, I should say, I think it was better that I didn't. I'm glad I didn't. I had to get into it, and I felt more comfortable being me today.
Walt, we all know there's a big documentary coming out this summer that will be released. That should be great. And the Tom Hanks movie, we had Tom Janot on the program Wednesday. We did. Beautiful guy. ESPN let him have us for a day. And the movie is focused in on Tom Janot and Fred's relationship, and he's read the script and likes it. So Tom is a happy man. What are you going to do? What will be your feeling when that movie comes out and you see somebody playing Fred Rogers up there, somebody you knew?
Well, of course I'm going to see if he really identifies with the real person. And knowing Tom Hanks, he will.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I think that his interpretation probably will be sort of a hybrid. Tom Hanks, you'll know it's Tom Hanks, but you'll get the Fred veneer over it, I think. And I think it'll be a perfect way to portray Fred. Because
we can't change our looks, but
no,
it's the attitude. I'll be watching for like his spirit, what comes out of him, what he exudes in terms of his spirit and how he talks and how he approaches people. But you can exaggerate to a point where it's going to won't look right.
You don't want to be a caricature, right. And I think Tom Hanks will just get it right. There'll be Tom Hanks in it, but there'll also be Fred. And you're right. I think it's a spirit that he'll catch.
I'm going to hold on for 4 minutes, so stay with me back in the studio here. We're going to run up to the next break. Walt, standing in the spot where that photograph was taken, in this studio where the show was taped for 32 years, well, starting in 1970 it came here, I believe. Why? Why does this show still endure? Why is Fred Rogers on a stamp today? What is it about this guy that 15 years after his death, the week of his 90th birthday, so much going on, that he's still here, he still endures?
You should be asking a 10-year-old that question. They will tell you, yes.
Yes, you knew him.
Yeah, he was honest.
Yes.
The thing about kids, they haven't learned to be up until 14, that's where they leave the track. But up until when they're young, they're honest. You get their honest opinion, and that's what he gave back to them. And I always said it's fortunate that Fred focused on the youth of our culture, because we all grow up, and it's good to have Fred in there in the beginning.
But they come back to it. Teenagers come back to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and I think why? Because they remember how comfortable they were watching Mr. Rogers when they were 4, 5, and 6. They go through it. They get into sort of a push away from it, but they come back because they're teenagers now, and they're about to go out into the cruel world, so to speak. And I think it gives them comfort to sort of revisit the neighborhood, and they do. A lot of teenagers, when we were making the program, we got a lot of letters from teenagers and people in their 80s and 90s watching the program, the whole range. And I think that answers part of your question of the endurance.
Two guys, you both knew him over 30 years. What don't we know? One thing we don't know about this guy, just because I only saw him on camera, never met him in person. What don't we know, Walt?
He had an exquisite sense of humor. All right, it didn't show on camera. And I think I told you a story yesterday about our first meeting.
It might be the new audience. You want to share it? It's a good story.
It's up to
okay.
you. It's up to you.
Well, I love it because all right.
It tells a lot.
I was asked, how did I meet Fred? All right, my first meeting with Fred was showing him my work and getting sympathy. You were probably there too. And so my first assignment was to photograph labels for video cassettes. And the first series was your first airplane ride. All right, so we went to the airport, the county airport here, and photographed the pilot and a stewardess and a family. And your first trip to the hospital, we went to the hospital, photographed the doctor, and Mary, your trip to the zoo. Then the next series was on emotions, fear, anger, and love. And the first series was on love. So we were photographing those inside of my studio, and I had put King Friday and Queen Sarah on the light stand, and Fred was going to stand between them, and I was going to do a portrait of him, the king and the queen. So I was young, I was 25 or 26 years old, and I had too much time on my hands, and I took a pencil. It's about love, right? And I put it under the king's skirt. And I was looking at, there were some of the people, on the side that I had just met. I said, I'm thinking, this is probably my last photo shoot for Mr. Rogers. So Fred comes in for makeup, and he looks down at the king, and he says, my King Friday, aren't we feeling amorous this morning? And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and we just connected. And I said, I'm going to be working with this guy for a long time. So he took a situation that could have been, he was a master of words because he was a master of feeling and thought. And, the words expressed the thought. He understood what I was doing. And a lesser person might have taken offense.
And he got your sense of humor, too. And that was, I think that was the beginning of the relationship of Fred feeling relaxed around Walt. So it was, in retrospect, it's a smart thing you did.
It was a good move.
Well, it was an honest thing I did. And I said, well, if the guy's honest.
But you were being funny, too.
I was being funny, yes.
Yes. David, what don't we know about him?
Oh, well, again, what Walt said, it's his sense of humor. I think he had a wonderful sense of humor. And, he could have been very upset when Walt did that. It's very funny, I think. But he wasn't. He took it in his stride, and then they moved on. He didn't dwell on it. He laughed and said a remark.
It was quick and ended, and we finished the shoot, and the shoot went beautifully.
And that's what.
Again.
And that's what people don't know about him. That he had a sense of humor, and he wasn't uptight, and that's what I think a lot of people don't see. It does come out a little bit though, in King Friday on the program, his sense of humor. But that's the one thing I think people didn't see on television that much.
Being here in the studio where it was done, being here on this day, he would have turned 90 Tuesday, March the 20th. 50th year anniversary of the show debuting, but he's not here, unfortunately. So, did you feel him here? Is there any sense of Fred Rogers today?
Yes, I felt it at one point when Joanne Rogers, his wife, and his John and James were introduced, and the grandson. I think Fred would have been very proud to have them here, and I felt it at that point. In some way, it's hard to explain how you feel it, but yes, that's when I sort of felt his presence.
It was all about Fred. Yeah, it was all about Fred.
And I think, we all had that same feeling. Everybody here in the audience seemed to be here because they really was more than a stamp. It was Fred.
He glowed, huh? He glowed.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he glowed. He glowed.
He had a charisma that not everybody has. There are a lot of people on television. Well, for instance, it's not the best analogy, but, Marilyn Monroe, for instance. There are 1,001 blondes, and Marilyn Monroe punched out. And Fred punched out. It was his demeanor, it was his honesty, it was the communication, and I think most of all, his sincerity. It came right through the screen.
He was not a phony.
No.
In no respect was he a phony.
No. And you could.
He was accused. Some I've heard people say he was a workaholic, but he wasn't. He was paced.
Yeah.
He wasn't a workaholic.
No.
He did a lot of work, but he was paced. His pace was steady.
And it was his mission too. He was on a mission, but he looked forward to the end of a taping day and going home. And sometimes he would go home, play the piano. He'd play it here. Oh, at the very end of every program, I may have told you this before, the piano in the studio. He'd go over and play the theme from one of the old newsreels they showed at movie theaters. Da 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 da. Remember that? He did that, and that was his signature. Okay, we've done for the day, and that was okay. Now I could be Fred Rogers.
David, because we're in the studio, because it's the week of his 90th birthday, because it's the day we debuted the stamp, and because you're the postman, I'm going to ask you to do the song for me. I'm going to ask you to do it. Look into that camera right there.
All right, and I'll hold
You'll
this.
hold the mic. Go right ahead.
If there's anything you want, if there's anything you need, McFeely's Delivery brings it to you here with speed. Yes, our speedy delivery is a speedy delivery. Speedy delivery to you, Scott, and to you, Walt. Speedy delivery.
Say hello to everybody back, Charlie, and all the guys back at the
Oh,
station.
hello,
Sean.
Charlie and Sean, and who am I
Oh,
forgetting?
who we forget who's back there? Nan and Marge and the whole
Nan
bit.
and Marge and the whole bit back in
Mary, who are here.
Barry, and unfortunately, Warren Harding is not there.
No, he's not. Goodbye from WQED Radio with David Newell and Walt Sang, two very important men.
Everybody look there and 1, 2, 3, speed. 1, 2, 3, speed delivery. 1, 2, 3, speedy delivery.